Alright, so part 1 of my Virtual Boy coverage went into the official 22 releases of the system. Part 2, I'm going to be looking at the Homebrew community, the original games that fans have made, of demos that Nintendo never finished, of ports of classic games. These 10 are pretty unique, or I would even say better than actual Virtual Boy games. So enough chatter, let's just jump right into it. First up, we have Mario Kart Virtual Cup, which is pretty much a straight up port of the original Super Nintendo game. You can only race against the time, you can't race against other players, but it has pretty much the original roster from that game. Looks like the Super Nintendo game, plays like it. It's kind of a cool port, but you know, no substance to it, really. The same goes for Virtual Boy Mario, which is essentially the Wario World game, but having Mario in it, and kind of having a 3D perspective with the planes jumping in and out of them, as you would see from, you know, an original Mario game for the Virtual Boy. It's just not altogether there. You can't hit question blocks, you can't hit the enemies, and it's kind of cool to see him jumping back and forth from the environments, but, you know, it's a concept more than it is anything else, really. From the font alone, you can tell this is a Guitar Hero ripoff. This is Game Hero. You can choose from a variety of remix tracks and original tracks from the Nintendo series, including Mario tracks, Zelda tracks, and you basically play them with the controller type, which is kind of weird. Nothing crazy happening in the actual gameplay of the system. Very, very basic. Nothing happening animation-wise. But, again, a cool proof of concept. Alright, now this one is super cool. This is a port of the first chapter of Snatcher. This is a Hideo Kojima game that's been released on multiple platforms. Hasn't been revisited in such a long time. It's such a cool game. It's basically Blade Runner, but in a video game. It's a text-based adventure. Again, one of Kojima's brilliant kind of reworkings of a concept. It's, you know, it may not look visually exciting, but in a world full of these light novel games and adventure games, it's cool that someone made a dedicated port for the Virtual Boy. Nothing exciting happening, you know, in the 3D, but it's just kind of a cool downport, I guess I should call it. How about some Street Fighter 2 action a la Hyper Fighting? This game even has a cartridge. You can buy this game if you have a Virtual Boy and you can play it. Super neat. Very forward-thinking for this guy that made it, this team of guys or whoever made it. But it's just Super Street Fighter 2, but it's red, it's kind of dark. I'm not sure exactly why it's darker than other Virtual Boy games, but it's cool. It's classic Street Fighter, but all in red, the best color. This next game, I'm not exactly sure if it's original or a sequel of an original game, but it's called Captain Sevilla 2. Of course, you can tell it's a Spanish game. I do not know it's Captain Sevilla. I don't know, whatever. You play the game and you're avoiding these fruit being dropped on you and you're trying to thwart these bad guys. It's kind of a more arcadey experience, not really a beat 'em up. Kind of a cool character design, but I'm just lost as to what this game, you know, really is. Is it a downport? Is it an original game? No idea, but interesting. Up next we have another original game called Fishbone. This probably has the best graphics and animation I have ever seen from a Virtual Boy game. You're playing this little fish, it's kind of like Pac-Man, you're going through the scrolling level, you're eating small fish, you're getting bigger, and then this giant fish periodically comes up behind you, you gotta outswim it. It's cool. It's just I think, not so much the gameplay, but the actual graphics of it, and again, the animations are so gorgeous. I really like this game. Here's one of those demos I was talking about. There was supposed to be a Star Fox game for the Virtual Boy, which I think it kind of got turned into this game called Red Alarm. It's this space shooter. Anyway, someone kind of made that demo available or worked on it a little bit. And it's really hard to tell that it's Star Fox. I mean, the ship kind of looks like it, but it's just a big black space. And the assets just aren't there. But, you know, historically, it's neat to see what could have been for the Virtual Boy. I'm not sure I would call Soviet Union a good game, but it is essentially, you are the Soviet Union, you have this little plane type thing, which actually looks like the tail end of like a dart, shooting down US bombers in what looks like space. You are a Soviet, you're fighting the United States. Very simplistic shooter, kind of ugly. I don't like the designs of the ships at all, but just a weird marvel of ingenuity, I guess I should say. Like, why would someone make this? Alright, last we have Tron, which is kind of a reimagining of the arcade game. You are on a light cycle, you're trying to stop the other guy on the light cycle by going in the maze and having him run into your jet stream, and that's about it. So, those are 10 homebrew games, reworkings, ports, original pieces, whatever. This is the last thing I'll be doing on the Virtual Boy, probably ever, unless there's another huge port to the system. But yeah, it's been an interesting celebration of the weird flop of a console, but I don't regret it. Again, I did it all for you, so until next time, I'll see you later.
Boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack.